Video about zombie survival tactics and weapons. First off, I was going to do a little run through of the knives that I have and explain the differences. My choice would be this one, black blade, rubberized handle for a good grip. This is a Navy SEALs tactical combat knife. You can use the end cap as a hammer. The blade's fairly sharp. You can get a sharpened blade easy. This is the sheath. Basically, it's a 2-point strap to hold the knife in. It has a plastic D-ring on the bottom, so you can run a rope through it, as I've done. So you can strap it to your thigh, or if you want to wear it as, say, here, against your calf. So that'll strap against your ankle. This will go around the top of your knee. The other choices that I could suggest would be a good hunting knife. Get a good hardwood handle with 3 rivets across it with a full-tang blade. That is damn near never going to break. You get a good grip, so you can hold it easily. These are actually fairly sharp because they are made for hunting and skinning game. So this would actually be a good choice too. Another one could be a military model. Obviously the black blade to conceal it at night. Very sharp. I'd prefer the clip point model as this, with a handle wrapped in paracord, so if it gets wet or oily or anything, you won't lose the grip. Another thing is a lanyard on the end of it. You can strap it around your wrist, so when you hold it and say you get knocked down in combat, if you let it go, you won't drop it. So this would be another good knife. The sheaths, each one is different. So, depending on what you want, depends on also how it's going to work for you. Another good thing is, always have a good handy crowbar. I mean, this is actually a fairly good tool and weapon. You can jam through the eye socket with this, you can hammer it against the side of the head, and it has a nail puller. If you're good enough, you can use it as a hammer, so this is about 4-in-1 tool. So that's actually pretty good to have. Another one that I prefer to carry is a machete. Obviously this wouldn't be good for against zombies unless I'm beheading them, but this is basically a brush machete to take down small trees and bushes and branches. Other than that, it's actually a fairly good combat weapon. It's just been used too much. First off, we're going to start off with guns now. One of my favorite topics. This is a Taurus model PT-24-7. It's a 16-round, 9mm semi-automatic pistol. It holds 15 in the magazine, 1 in the chamber. This is a BB gun. It's not actually the real model. To start off with this, you have to get familiar with your pistol. This has glow-in-the-dark combat sights. You have your mag release lever right next to your trigger guard, which obviously ejects your magazine. You have your takedown pin, your slide release pin, and your safety. Safety down, you're okay to fire it. Safety up, it's not going to fire. That's basically your pistol. I would suggest getting a small caliber such as 9mm or 22 LR because it has a high capacity rate and it's not exactly a high, well, they mostly are high velocities, but I would suggest a 9mm because you can have capacity and accuracy in a small compact frame. Next thing I would suggest is your main gun. This is a military's model SM-8. Yes, I know it's covered in tape and beat up. It's because it's a BB gun. The standard rifle that was supposed to replace the M16, it has a 3-point extendable stock, rear and front flip-up sights, dual-sided ambidextrous safety, and mag release. It holds 30 rounds in the magazine, which look like this. They are staggered acceptable, which means you don't need a mag coupler. You can just link the magazines together. Mag goes in, cocking handle back, turn your safety off, you're ready to fire. That's all that's really needed for this one. Even though it's a military weapon, it's fairly simple. You put everything back. The button to release it is actually here to close that. That was basically the SM-8. I mean, depending on which weapon you're going to choose, also depends on your skill level or your personal preferences. Me, I would prefer an AK-47 with a folding stock, because obviously, for size reasons, this rifle would be no good indoors. So that's why I prefer the folding stock, so I can fold it, and it would end up not even this size. It would end up being shorter, so more about the size of an MP5 with a suppressor. So it's a little bit more manageable indoors. Another thing, I would not suggest a shotgun. The spread on them, shut up. The spread on the shotguns, specifically with buckshot, It's too much, even in close range. I mean, if you're good enough and you can land a headshot, good luck. Even if you're firing slugs, it's still no point in using it because you could just have a rifle with semi-automatic. I mean, a rifle with 30 rounds is a lot better than a pump action with, say, 6 to 8 rounds. Alright, well, as stated before, the shotgun's kind of out of the question for me. That's just my personal preference, nothing about it. What I do prefer are something of assault rifles, preferably civilian legal semi-automatic models. You know, the AK-47, the AR-15, the Micro Tavor, different ones. I mean, specifically, I do not prefer the AR-15, M4, M16, whichever one you call it. I mean, yeah, it has good stopping power against human targets. It's high accuracy, which is required for zombie survival. But it's too high maintenance. You get a handful of dirt and grime into the receiver, and that gun's going to jam up and probably backfire and blow the receiver apart. The AK-47 is rugged, reliable, and combat proven since 1945 when it was first created. The other one that I do prefer, it's kind of along the lines of the AR-15 that I just basically tossed in the trash, is the Micro Tavor. It's made in Israel by IWI. What it is, it's a 5.56 caliber semi-automatic assault rifle like the AR-15. It even accepts the AR-15 magazines. The only difference is it's a bullpup design, which means when you're holding it, your receiver and fire control is in the stock. So your magazines would load behind your trigger guard and handle, so it's a shorter rifle. You get the same length barrel as an assault rifle in, say, a submachine gun size package. You can get your Tavor, which is normally about this big, or your Micro Tavor, which is about that big. Another one that's high preferenceable is the Golani Galil or the Golani Sporter. It's still made by IWA in Israel. It's a 5.56 by 4.5 semi-automatic assault rifle, like designed based off the AK-47. The only difference is it fires a different round out of a different magazine. It comes standard with a folding stock and bayonet lug, and the rear sight has been adjusted from the front of the receiver to the back. So, due to the distance between your rear and front sight, you have better range of accuracy.
Let me see your war face!